Hello, welcome back to the video series for Geography 300 at WVU Geographical Data Analysis. This video is something of a digression from the previous ones, although it is undeniably and unequivocally important for the class. This is, as you know, having mentioned this in the class Zoom sessions, a SpeakWrite course. That means a large portion of the grade is through writing, in this case the lab reports that you will be writing throughout much of the rest of the semester. These lab reports, we will use the SpeakWrite PACT approach to help guide the writing and the production of those reports. So here I will go through each of the 4 ideas, and I will illustrate that with a concept, with a scenario of writing the report for a supervisor about the spatial distribution of a particular invasive species, say an invasive plant like tree of heaven, Ailanthus altissima, within the Monongalia County. So I'll first put the scenario over here. And the idea is that your supervisor can then use this to develop a plan to control its spread. The P in PACT is the purpose of what you are writing. Everything you write has a purpose. To be honest, even the text message you send to one of your friends has a purpose. You didn't, unless you butt dialed, I guess, you really did have a reason, a purpose in sending that text message. Here, it is obviously more formal and longer than that text message, but there is still a purpose. The purpose, it's important to remember, the purpose is not simply to describe where that species is. Yes, we may use, say, a standard circle or a standard ellipse from the previous previous video to accomplish this. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to develop a policy or a strategy that will control the spread of that plant. The purpose is controlling the spread. That is the end goal of what you wish to accomplish. Any technique you use, in this case, probably it could be mapping it out, having a standard circle, a standard ellipse. That is a means to the end. Doing that technique is not the purpose. And that is critical. There are many cases later in the semester where you might say the purpose of this lab is to carry out a regression on these variables or these attributes. No, that's not the purpose. The purpose is, within the scenario, the overarching end goal of what you are trying to accomplish, not the means to that end. A is the audience. In this case, again, in the scenario, I'm telling you what that is. That will be consistent throughout the lab exercises. You will be told, basically, you'll be told the purpose. You will be told who the audience is. In this case, you're writing with that person, that audience in mind. You know, hopefully, you know what they understand, what they don't understand, and how they can use this information to guide that decision making for the policy, for the strategy. C is the conventions that we will use throughout this writing. In this scenario, and in many cases throughout this course, there are a few conventions that are consistent throughout. Be direct. This is not a creative writing course. You don't need to fluff everything up. Be clear, be concise. If we're thinking in terms of the purpose, presenting this report to the supervisor to help them make their decision, as well as the audience, that supervisor, that decision maker. That person probably doesn't have all the time in the world to write a very lengthy, massive report of 20 pages on where in Mon County this plant is found. We want to be concise. We want to give them the information they need clearly, but we don't want to go any longer than we absolutely have to provide that information that is needed to guide that policy decision. There are, and we'll see these later on, additional conventions for presenting tables, for presenting maps, for interpreting and discussing those tables and those maps. We will see those as we get to them. As it says in the syllabus, some of the labs will have the opportunity to resubmit a revision after I provide feedback. For the most part, that is to help you learn these conventions. The T in PACT is for trouble spots. This is where, again, editing and revising becomes important. Mainly for identifying the trouble spots, try to put yourself in the position of the audience. Whether that audience is a single person, that supervisor, whether that audience is the general public, regardless, put yourself in that position. And try to see where that audience might get confused. Those are the trouble spots. In this case, it might be, you need to make sure you have a good map to really illustrate where in Mon County those plants are found. It might be, and that could be things like, you need to make sure the map is sufficiently detailed that in developing that policy and the plan, when they send people out into the field to pull up this plant or otherwise eradicate it, they need to be able to actually get to the right location. If you have a very small map, they won't be able to see it with enough detail to carry that out. So that is one example of a potential trouble spot within this scenario. So we will be revisiting these topics, these ideas, throughout the semester as we write our labs and lab reports. That they're all going to be written with a particular purpose. In each case that is given by the scenario that I will provide as part of the lab report. Likewise, the audience. In the caution for both of those, as you are writing them going forward, the purpose is not to carry out the technique. The technique is the way to accomplish that purpose. The audience, even though you are writing it for class, and you could argue you are in a sense writing it for me, I am not the audience. The audience is provided by that scenario as the supervisor or the general public, what have you. It is not me as the instructor of the course. There are conventions. As I said, this is not creative writing. Be clear, be concise, just get to the point. And T for trouble spots, try to have some empathy, try to put yourself in the position of the audience, whatever the audience in this scenario is provided to be, and being in their shoes and in their eyes, try to see where things might be confusing. Try to see where there could be trouble or problems in their ability to either carry out the purpose or otherwise get confused. So, as always, if you have questions, feel free to ask, feel free to reach out, and I will answer either by email or in class. So, here concludes the first set of videos. The next batch will be looking at probability and transitioning from descriptive to inferential statistics. So, thank you for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you at the next video.